let's move on to the next entry. Abduct. ABDUCT. Abducts, abducting, abducted. Is a verb. If someone is abducted by another person, he or she is taken away illegally, usually using force. Have I spelled that for you? Or I'm not sure, but I'll do it again. ABDUCT. Abduct. To take away someone illegally, usually using force. Sample sentences. His car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. This expression is interesting. Held up. Let's see what it means. What it means instead of what it means. I'm not a big fan of flap T's or flap D's. If you hold up your hands, hold up an other. To hold up a person means you make them late or delay them. Well, the fourth sense looks the best for understanding the sample sentence. If someone holds up a place, such as a bank or a shop, they point a weapon at someone there to make them give them money or valuable goods. So you're pointing at someone there with a gun and threaten them, if you don't do this, if you don't give your money to me, I will shoot you. Yeah, holds up a place. Holds up a place. After holding up a petrol station, like controlling a place with force, with brute force, with a gun. So it makes sense to say his car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. Gunman, I believe, it simply means man holding guns. Man holding guns. Gunman. 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 Not gunman, but gunman. Gunman.
Gunman.
Gunman. A gunman is a man. How do you pronounce the plural?
Gunman.
Oh, this time it's really man. The plural form is the same as the plural form of the original word man. When it's a plural form, it will be pronounced as man, man, man. A gunman is a man who uses a gun to commit a crime, such as a murder or robbery. Gunman is a man who uses a gun to commit a crime. Gunman. His car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. Gunman. His car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. Gunman. His car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. His car was held up and he was abducted by 4 gunmen. So his car was stopped by a gang of people, and they probably take out a gun to point them to his head and threaten him. Oh, let's go out. We'll take you away. And the man was taken away to somewhere that can hardly be found by others. That man is probably rich. That's why they would do so, to abduct him. Like kidnap him, but I believe this is more formal. To abduct someone. Second example. She was charged with abducting a 6-month-old child. Well, that's a baby. 6-month-old child. Or even a fetus, I'd say. Well, maybe not quite a fetus, but a baby. She was charged with abducting a 6-month-old child. She was charged with abducting a 6-month-old child. She was charged for abducting a 6-month-old child. child, charged. Let's see which sentence fits our sample sentence the most. Charged, not this one. You're not just asking the woman to pay up if she kidnapped a 6-month-old child, right? Definitely not. Definitely not the first sense. Charge someone to a person, providing to them. No. Charge. When the police charge someone, they formally accuse them of having done something illegal. Yes, the illegal part. I believe abducting a 6-month-old child is illegal. Accuse the woman of abducting the 6-month-old child. She was charged with abducting a 6-month-old child. She was charged with abducting a 6-month-old child. Noun form abduction, used with the possessive of. For example, the abduction of 4 youths. So after the 6-month-old child, she's abducting youths now. youth, like young adults or teenagers. Youths, state young men as youths. When they are reporting that the young men have caused trouble. The fourth sentence look great for a sentence. The youth are young people considered as a group. Youth, just young people in general, I would say. Young people collectively. A young person, especially a young man or boy. Right. The abduction of 4 youths. Don't abduct people. Let's move on. Next entry. Well, not yet. There's another noun form of abduct. The abductor, the one who performs the abducting action. Abductor, she cooperated with her abductor. She cooperated with her abductor. Well, this makes sense because when someone's pointing a gun to your head, in most cases, you can only do as you're told. That's why she cooperated with her abductor. Reasonable. Next entry, aberrant. A-B-E-R-R-A-N-T. Aberrant means unusual and not socially acceptable, like strange, unusual, not socially acceptable. It's used formally. Sample sentence: Ian's rages and aberrant behavior worsened. So he always gets angry, extremely angry, and like shouting at people and do some strange things. Aberrant behavior. Ian's rages and aberrant behavior worsened. Ian's rages and aberrant behavior worsened. Ian's rages and aberrant behavior worsens. I have a friend who dislike people's rages too. Next entry, aberration. 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 Variable noun. An aberration is an incident or way of behaving that is not typical. An aberration, a strange behavior. It became very clear that the incident was not just an aberration, or not quite a strange behavior here, but a strange incident, a strange event, an unusual event. We'll call it an aberration. Aberration. It became very clear that the incident was not just an aberration. It became very clear that the incident was not just an aberration. It became very clear that the incident was not just an aberration. So someone is controlling it. It's not happening. It's not happening in a natural way. There's something behind that. There's someone behind that. Behind the crisis, behind the royal crisis. Let's move on. Next entry. Abet. A-B-E-T. Abet. Abets, abetting, abetted. Verb. If one person abets another, they help or encourage them to do something criminal or wrong. Abet is often used in the legal expression aid and abet, like helping and teaching in English, in plain English. Legal, formal. Sample sentence. His wife was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for aiding and abetting him. Sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. Aid and abet. Aid and abet. And abet. Aiding and abetting definitions. The words aid, abet, counsel, and procure shall be given their ordinary meaning. Aid, help, and assistance. Assistance or assistance. Let's see. Assistance. Well, assistance just voiceless as voiced, unvoiced. Help and assistance. Abet, encouragement generally during the crime. Is a counsel or counsel. C-O-U-N-S-E-L. God. Counsel. Counsel is advice. Counsel. Like a legislative council. Council. District council. He had always been able to count on her wise counsel. Advice. A formal alternative of advice. Speaking of alternative. Is an alternative to or an alternative of. Is an alternative to another. The first can be found, used, or done instead of the second. Is an alternative to, so not of. May provide an alternative to painkillers. Aid and abet. Aid and abet. Help and encourage. She was sentenced. His wife was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. They were sent to jail. Was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for aiding and abetting him. Imprisonment. Imprisoned. Imprisonment. Imprisonment is the state of being imprisoned.
Imprisonment.
Imprisonment. Being imprisoned means to be put to jail. They're locked up or kept somewhere, usually in prison as a punishment for a crime or political opposition. Imprisoned. They are locked up or kept somewhere. Imprisoned. His wife was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for aiding and abetting him. His wife was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for aiding and abetting him. His wife was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for aiding and abetting him. I guess that him is her husband. Next entry, abeyance phrase. ABEYANCE. If something is in abeyance, it is not operating or being used at the present time. It is not currently in use, but it is there. The saga is not over, merely in abeyance. What is a saga? S-A-G-A. Saga. Saga is a long story, account, or sequence of events. It's a long story composed in medieval times in Norway or Iceland. It's a long story, a long account or sequence of events with an account. Let's continue in the next video.